We learned HTML, we learned CSS, we looked at Bootstrap. There was an extension that I had asked to install. Which extension was that? Live server extension was for you all to check, to see a web page, right? Fetched by a server. But there was one more extension that I said would help in making your lives easy to add Bootstrap components. What extension was that? To VS Code, we had added an extension so that we don't have to type up the code. We could just use a shortcut, say BS5 hyphen, and mention whatever component name, and it would give us a code snippet. Anybody remembers what that extension was? Very good. Bootstrap 5 snippets, code snippets, right? So Bootstrap 5 quick snippets or Bootstrap 5 code snippets. That was the extension that we asked. There are many other extensions, everybody. So everyone, we know why HTML, we know why Bootstrap, we know why CSS, we know all that, right? Now, why are we learning the whole full stack at all? Why are we learning FSD? We are learning full stack development because in our project, in the PS project that we have, you're supposed to create a front end, right? You are supposed to create a website, a front end, a proper front end with a proper UI, so that can talk to your Hugging Face model using an API and fetch information and display. That is the reason why we are learning full stack. Just getting the perspective here, please, in place. So that's why we are learning full stack. For us to learn full stack, we need to know full stack includes Mongo, Express, React and Node, right? React is a JavaScript front-end web UI library for JavaScript, right? But even before we go to React, we need to understand how web pages are built. So that's where we are. We are learning how HTML web pages are built. We are learning how to style them. We are learning how to use an existing library to build that web page to make the page look prettier. We are learning faster ways of doing this thing again, right? Meaning we don't have to create everything from scratch. We can use an existing library and get it working. So that is the reason why we are learning Bootstrap. Now, the agenda for today is to wrap up Bootstrap. There is one very important concept in Bootstrap called Bootstrap Grid. Last session, we have looked at Bootstrap contextual colors. We have looked at what BG primary means, BG secondary, BG success, BG warning. Can anybody tell me what happens when I give BG hyphen warning as a class? It changes to which color? Warning is red? Orange, amber, or a little bit yellowish, right? And danger is red. All these colors are called contextual colors. They were created to make life easy for people who are building web pages like that around the .com boom, right? They did not want to give the hex code and all. They wanted things to go faster and they wanted consistency. Now, one of the important things that your interviewer might ask you is why should we even go for any web UI library? Why should we go for any web UI library? Why should we go for Tailwind? Why should we go for Bootstrap? Why can't I do everything from scratch? Apart from time, apart from the fact that you jumpstart your project, you go very fast in building the project. Apart from all those things, one of the very important thing about using any library is consistency, please. So when you use a web UI library, not only does it make things easy for you, it gives us some consistency. What do I mean by that? Does the page look really nice and consistent throughout? No. Consistency across browsers. Your page looks the same in Firefox, the page looks the same in Chrome, the page looks the same in any other browser, Safari. It looks the same because all the logic that has to go in making pages look correct, that is all taken care of. We don't have to worry about that. You write code in one browser, you use the Bootstrap, it looks the same in all of them, in all the other browsers. That is another very important thing, please, consistency. Now I think we have done enough revision. Let me go and open up and show what we have done. We'll do a quick recap. Again, the agenda is to wrap up Bootstrap, work on one Tufan exercise, the regular exercise that we have. But then this is going to be a combination of couple of exercises from the last session. Okay, it's going to have a nav bar. It's going to check for the responsiveness. How many of you here understand responsiveness? Yeah. Responsiveness, everybody understands, right? We don't have to go over it. Responsiveness is the website, the web page must look the same in different devices, whether it's in mobile. So it looks the same, does not exactly look the same, but it should look the way it is expected to look. If I want it to look in certain particular way, it should look in that particular way. Just because you can see a website in a website or on a small device doesn't mean it is responsive. You should be able to understand, you should be able to read the text, right? And you should automatically align its components so that it is easy to access it in different devices. So that is responsiveness, and Bootstrap is big on responsiveness. Okay, so let me just go over. I'll show you. Are you able to see? I have day 9 folder. I expect you all to create day 9 folder as well. In day 9, we will not be using CDN links going forward because I don't want you guys to move between CDN and CSS.js folders. So this is a CSS folder. As you can see, it has bootstrap min.css. Then I have a JS folder. This has bootstrap bundle, JS file. Then I have an index.html, right? Now, forget the images for now. So, again everybody, please go ahead in your EPS session folder, create a day 9 folder. In the day 9 folder, create a CSS and JS folder. Or from day 8, copy over your CSS and JS folder to this day 9 folder. Okay, last time when you worked, you would have had CSS and JS folder, right? Please copy them over to day 9 folder. And then let us open this in VS Code. Everybody remember, I am opening the folder in VS Code. Show more, open with code, the whole folder please. Right? Now, to save time, I have created a simple template. Everybody focus. What I have done is I have added the link and script tags, and I have my HTML file ready. This is my index.html file, which I am going to use as a base for all my files. So in the last class, if you have created an appbar.html or something, please copy that over to this folder and have it ready. Again, you see that? A link tag, JavaScript tag. Now, who can tell me from line 4 to 9 here, which tag is necessary? Let me repeat. Which tag among those tags from line 4 to 9 is compulsory or necessary or mandatory, all the synonyms, to make sure that your web page is responsive? Give me the line number. Which line must be there in your HTML page to make sure that your page is responsive? Okay, I have some saying the answer. What about one more there? Which lines? Which line do you think must be there to make sure for your web page to look fine in all devices? Responsive. That quadrant, which line you think? You can raise your hand and show. From the code here, from 4 to 9, what is that line that must be there in any web page for the browser to understand that this particular page needs to adjust itself based on device width? I'm giving away the answer. Line 5, everybody. You add Bootstrap, you don't want to use Bootstrap, you want to use Tailwind, use whatever web UI library. If you do not have line 5, the browser is not going to adjust itself to the screen size of the device, or the page will not be adjusted to whatever the device width is. So, line 5 is very, very important. Name viewport, width is device width, initial scale 1.0. So, that is there by default. Now, rest of them we know CSS, we know JS. Now, if I remove line 8, what will happen? I have some code in my page. Let's say I have a Bootstrap navbar. I didn't include line 8. What's going to happen? What do you think will happen if I remove JavaScript from my page? I'll remove the Bootstrap JS file from my page. What do you think is going to happen? Will the page not appear fine? Will I not see a navbar? How many say we will see a navbar? Very good. So, as long as there is CSS, you will see the navbar. Now, what is it that is line 8 adding? The script. Remember, I am asking you a question. The question is, I have added a nav bar, Bootstrap nav bar at line 12, let's say. I am seeing the nav bar. It appears fine. CSS is there, appears fine. I removed line 8. What do you think will not work? What does JavaScript do? It adds dynamism. It adds interactivity to the page. So when I remove JavaScript and I change the device to mobile and I see that hamburger icon, when I click on it, it will not work. The interactivity of the page is gone if you remove the JS file. Please make a note. Mental note, physical note, digital, up to you. JavaScript bundle, that one is absolutely needed for the interactivity of the page. Now let's move forward. Now this bundle.min.js also has a very important library called jQuery. If somebody asks you, jQuery is not imported, how is it working? You say it is bundled up with the JS here. Okay. Now let's move on. So this is a sample file that I have. I suggest that every time you come for a full stack class, for an FSD class, you create that day folder with the CSS folder, JS folder, and a sample index.html like this. Understood? Now let me copy this over. I'm going to copy the index, Control-C, Control-V. Remember everybody, VS Code is a little tricky when you're trying to copy something. Meaning, if I copy this and by mistake I have something selected here, like that, you see? And I do a paste, it gets pasted inside the CSS folder. So make sure you're clicking outside somewhere and then pasting it. Okay? Now I'm going to rename this file. For a couple of minutes, I'm going to do a index hyphen, not index, I'll just say boot container or boot1.html, let's say. Okay? Leave it there. So now I have this. Now before I start, let me go over and do a quick recap of what we learned in day 8. Right? Remember everybody? This was called the accordion. Right? What was the one thing that we had to keep in mind with accordion? The ID should be different. If you give this div and you see already anything I click, it is showing only this div. That means that the ID, I'm using the same ID for both. So this was one thing that I showed. Then the regular nav bar. I showed you how to toggle device, Shift Control I, right? And I showed how looks like that nav bar. I showed how you can rotate. To get the landscape mode of your phone, you can click on that small icon there and it will show you the landscape. Click it, do that, right? Now let's go back. Then I showed you the extension. See that? This was a table, badges, cards. I showed you how you could use Bootstrap cards, right? I showed you the extension and I told you how you can use that to create components on the fly. Now you have, this one is was our form that I created. Today's exercise also is going to have a form. It's going to have a nav bar. You are expected to have a nav bar and a form in your Tufan exercise today. In your tessellator exercise, you're going to have a nav, you are expected to have a nav bar and a form, please. So make sure you have those two when you're submitting it. Done? So this is what we had learned in the last one. Then there were Bootstrap components that we created. Another accordion. Then I showed you cards, right? There's something called the Jumbotron also. That is it. Modal, I showed you how you can open, close. Off canvas, I showed you how you can have something, scroll in, close it, scroll in, right? And then scroll spy. I shared the whole day.zip in the WhatsApp folder, WhatsApp group. Please check. Navbar, we already know. Scroll spy. So I'm at first heading, so it is first is highlighted. If I scroll down, you see, based on where I am, this is the scroll spy we looked at. Then the tabbed pane, all these. All these we were able to do with the help of BS5 hyphen and whatever we wanted, we picked from this because I had the extension installed. This was all that we did. last time. Done? Now, let's move on to today's session. I need your complete attention. I'll give you 2 minutes to replicate what I'm doing here, but first look at it, please. Everybody, for any UI tool, right? They expect, or the library expects you to create a container first. Inside that container, you are expected to create your components and everything. Bootstrap also has a class called as container. Remember? Everything in CSS is a class, right? So here we go, mostly class. We have IDs and others also, but so here we go. What I'm going to do is I'm going to create a simple div, right? In this, I'm going to say class equals to container, right? And how do I add another class to my class here? Who can tell me how do I add one more class? I want to have a background as green or blue. How do I add that at line 11? Do I have to do class equals to BG primary or BG success? No? Then how do I get it? Just a space. Here, after container, I just give a space. Remember everybody? You can add multiple classes by giving spaces. Now I click on, because one of your friends said we have live server extension. So go live, I click, and it's going to. How come nothing is being displayed? Everybody to the screen. Div, class, container, BG primary. I don't have anything, but I did give a BG as primary. Or let me change it. Maybe there's a problem with the background, you think? Success. Still nothing. My intuition, my feeling tells me maybe I'm missing some libraries. No, I have both. Why is nothing displayed? Everybody, div is a container. Container is nothing without its contents. It's like a glass beaker. You pour something into it, only then you will see, right? So that's why even though I mentioned everything, I have nothing inside it, so it has nothing to show. You would think that ideally maybe there's an empty green box or something, but no, it doesn't work like that, okay? So, what color? There. So, div is only there if there is some content inside it. As like a class representative or CR is only there if there is a class or there are people in it, otherwise having a CR is of no use, right? I'm just trying to be funny there, but so here I have my header. Similarly, this class is what is the main class, everybody, container. This is the container for everything. You go check any website that is built on Bootstrap, the topmost class is always a container class. Now, what is interesting about this? I'll show you another container. There are two main containers that Bootstrap uses. Let me create one more div, right? Right, I'll have one more H1 and anybody knows yellow submarine? So I have yellow submarine, I have a class, and here I have container-fluid. Everybody, FLUID. Make a note, BG-warning. Another container. How are these two different? As you can see, there is some gutter space left on left and right for this one. So if you want some space, you say container. If you want the whole screen to be used, you say container fluid. Like fluid occupies whatever available space is there. Similarly here too. Now this is all about containers and all, right? This looks good, fine. Now, let me ask you a couple of questions. For a website, one is a home page, right? Did we work on a contact us page? Do we have a contact us form kind of a thing? Something like that? We did. Do we have a page where we could have tabs and jumbotrons? That is there, right? So almost all the pages for a website are done, except one page. Most of the websites have a gallery page or a page where they display products. We don't have that yet. We didn't create that yet. The next concept that I'm going to teach is one of the main concepts of Bootstrap. And it's a little tricky to understand. So I need your complete attention. mainly the last rows. If you think you're not able to hear properly or not able to follow, please move front, but understand thoroughly please. Bootstrap grid, right? Bootstrap grid is what we are going to look at next. The next concept is bootstrap grid, okay? Now let's look at it. What is this grid that I'm talking about and why is it needed? There are many web pages where you'll see a lot of pictures, rows and rows of pictures. How do you get that pictures? Or even the whole website itself, everybody. Again, there you go. Did I digress? I did, but then I was hoping you would focus. All right. So, in olden days, we used table, T-A-B-L-E, table tag for laying out contents on the screen, right? Table without a border, we would use and we would lay, okay, column span 2, column span 3, row span, that is how we placed elements. After that came Flexbox with CSS, right? Now, grid. Grid is the best way to position components in your layout, right? One of the main things that everybody uses is using grid, they position row 1 here, row 2 here, row 3 here. What am I talking about? Look at it as a graph sheet. A graph sheet where you can position and draw things and say, this is where I want on the top right corner, I want this, here I want, third row, bottom right, I want this. I want them to be flipped. Remember the insurance company example that I gave you? In the phone, you want to see get help at the top. But in a laptop, you want to see pay premium at the top. How do you do that? All these are possible with Bootstrap grid, okay? Now, like any other graph sheet or like any other laying out stuff tool, Bootstrap grid also has rows and columns, okay? One row, second row, third row. Each row, again everybody, listen carefully, each row in Bootstrap is divided into 12 columns. By default, every row is assumed to have 12 columns. It's up to you to say how many columns you want to use, okay? So, container and container fluid, we all know. Now I'm going to comment out this code. I'll give you 2 to 3 minutes to work on the Bootstrap grid as well. So don't worry. So this, I have my div. Like I said, I'll say class equal to container hyphen fluid. Now this is not picking it from the CSS. Because I have used container fluid already, VS Code is suggesting. Now one thing that I need you all to be careful about is opening and closing divs, okay? Don't close div before, don't open a new div without closing it, okay? So inside this we have that, so I have a div, class equal to, remember I told you, Bootstrap is all about classes, okay? Now, to make it easy for you to understand, let me show what I'm talking about. I'm taking a blank Word document, everybody. Look at the screen please, blank Word document, and I'm going to insert a table, right? Insert table like that. How many columns does it have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I need couple more. Remember I told you, Bootstrap needs what? 12 columns. It assumes that you are dividing your page into 12 columns equal. I have 12 columns, okay? Let's say I want some content in my page from column 1 to 5, all right? I want column 1 to 5, I want some content. From column 6 to 12, I want some other content. Clear? This is just so you understand please. Everything on the web there confuses you a lot. So I'm trying to keep it simple, right? So 1 to 5 is green, 6 to 12 is something, right? So that is how I want the first row to be. So let me go. This is my first row, 12 columns, right? So I'll say div class equal to call hyphen 5. Everybody, Bootstrap is all about classes. So class you mention row, inside that class you say class column 5. Here I'll say, I'll just mention h1 call 5. Just so you understand, we can have our own text there, but for our own understanding. And here I'll say bg hyphen success because I know success means green color, right? Now let me stop it and I'll say go live. I got 5. Now, I want to add one more column. So, I'll very carefully copy this. Remember everybody, it should still be inside the row. Okay? Maintain the indentation. You're all Python folks. So, indentation you understand. It's not going to break it, but it's easy for you to understand. So, call hyphen. After 5, how many columns do I have left? 12 minus 5 is 7. So, I say call hyphen 7. Don't forget the hyphen please. And this one, I want it to be some other color. And I'm just mentioning it to be 7. I save it. See that? 5 columns here and 7 columns here. So, right now I have only H1. If I put an image, that is the amount of space that the image is going to take. I did not set any width, guys. I did not do anything. I just said, this is the first row. In the first row, I want two blocks. One block should take 5 columns. The other one should take 7 columns. I just added them a background so that you understand. Okay? What is the important thing about this grid? You must know that your row should be inside a container and your column should be inside a row. The second set of column or second block should be a sibling of that, right? So, this is that. So, I just replicated this. Now, what if I want 2 here as red and 10 as yellow? The colors are not same, but then you see what I am saying? So, what should I do? I am sure you all know what needs to be done, right? So, I am going to create one more very neat div first. Then I will go inside and say class equals row. How do you know whether you close something or not and if you are confused, right? Remember, just hover over this line. Anytime you have a doubt, close it and close it, check. Oh, so expand, collapse. So, this row is collapsed now. Go inside here again. I will give you time to work on it. So, don't worry. And then here I am going to say call. Many a times what happens is we look at the screen and do a double quote and do an arrow and type. But remember, VS Code already added a quote. So, make sure you have class equals to call hyphen, this is 2, right? So, I will just mention again everybody, ideally line 34 would be an image, would be some other text, welcome to my website, something like that. Because I want you to understand the concept well, I have just written whatever column is, whatever number of columns I am using, I have put it there. I am going to copy that over, create one more as a sibling to that, and 12 minus 2 is 10. So, I will have 10 there and call hyphen 10, right? Now, of course, I did not give any background color, right? So, that is why it is all white. So, let me add a background color, BG hyphen danger. Remember to give a space please. Many a times students come to me and say, ma'am, we are not able to see the color. Ma'am, we are not. That is because you forgot the space or you did not give a hyphen. Remember, Bootstrap is also a piece of software code that somebody has written, right? So, if you don't give a hyphen, it does not understand what you mean. Make sure you write that there. Like this, you can create your complete web page, right? Let's say your web page has navbar at the top, something slider at the middle, so that could be in one row. After slider, you have 3 things. Let's say you're creating a travel log, right? Then you have those 3 things, or you have a boutique, or you are creating a gadget shop, whatever. You can divide that whole thing into multiple rows, each row into multiple columns, and have your content. So, like this, I can have whatever. Now, I'll share the code. Now, I need you all to look at the screen, please. Can I have your attention? Kindly look at the screen. Now, I'm going to show you how this is going to look like in another device. We know toggle device, Shift Control I, click on this icon here, it toggles. So, iPhone SE at 100%, column 2, column 10, same thing, right? How is it different from the regular one? Nothing. Now, iPad Air, 100%, same thing, 5 and 7, right? Again, let me go back and check Samsung Galaxy S8, 100. Now, Everyone, many a times you have a form to fill in or you have some text to read, which might not be legible if you have it this small in your phone. So what do you want to do? You want to stack them up. You want it to come one below the other, the images. You apply for leave, you apply for many registration forms, you look at pictures, right? When you look at pictures also, they are not one next to other. In smaller screens, they automatically adjust and come below. Now that is where Bootstrap's breakpoint come into picture, okay? Now first let me share this with you so that you feel good about the code. I'll share the first piece of code. Again, you could also use the Bootstrap quick snippets and then you can get it. You could say bs5-grid, it will create a grid for you. Everybody? So this is your class, which is a container, then a row. Only one row I am giving you the code for. bg div class equal to that. Then one more div class. This has 5 and this has 7. And I'll give you about 2 minutes. Please make sure you get it working. The best way to check if you have written the code properly was created with mobile first concept, meaning whatever you build by default, whatever the property is, that is set for the mobile screen. If you want it to look different, then you have to go modify it. Ideally, what would people think? That whatever class I have given, that is be used for the bigger screens. No. You have to mention categorically the bigger screens. By default, it is how it appears in a mobile screen, like the one that we just saw, call-4, call-5. That is how it is in the mobile screen, and we'll look at how it should appear in other screens soon. But look at this, please. Now, if you notice carefully here, you see, it is the same website. In a desktop, you see these also. In a laptop, here you have 3, in a laptop you have only 2. And look at the mobile screen. They are all stacked up. So how do you do that? The way we did now, they are all in columns in all screens. How do you make them come one below the other in mobile screen? We are going to see next. For that, the folks at Bootstrap have come up with this concept. And we saw badges and all also. Let's go on. This is the flex box, the grid. I need you all, whoever has a photographic memory, just take it in please. Otherwise also, please try. If you do it now, for the rest of your life, you don't have to worry about Bootstrap grid. Because for any application that you create, you must have to create a website or a front end for it, right? So you don't have to worry about how to position things, how to make sure they appear fine in different screens and all, if you understand this concept. Call- is for small screens. So just now I mentioned call-4, that is for mobile screens in the portrait mode. So that the number of columns is 4, right? Those 4 columns will look as 4 columns in mobile. Now the next thing, listen carefully. If I say call-sm small -4, then only in the landscape mode you will see 4 columns. In the regular portrait mode, you will see them one below the other. I repeat, whichever device we mention, in that device and above, it will use the column numbers. In devices that are smaller than that, it will stack up. Meaning, they will automatically come one below the other. Call-LG-4 if I give, from large screens, from laptops and above, it will take those 4 columns out of 12 columns. Anything that is below it, it will stack. What do I mean by this? I'll explain with an example. We'll see it right now, but for now understand, just column is portrait mode of your phone. Column-SM is landscape mode. Column-MD is for laptops. Column-MD is for tabs. Column-LG is for laptops and XL is for desktops. Now, usually in bigger companies, you'll be joining in some time, in 3 years or so, if everything favors, you might be working for a really big company. Then in those companies, they have huge town halls. So in town hall meetings, the screens are like this, really big. So they are larger than that. So in Bootstrap 5, that new concept has also been added where call-extra large is also there, XXL, XX is also there, and there are many other screens. We'll see that. But for now, let's understand X small, right? That is 0 to 576 pixel, small, large, medium. Now let's move on to look at the exercise, right? Now let me show you this. See here, call-MD-3 means that the columns will stack up on each other in screens that are smaller than that. Screens that are bigger and equal to that, they will maintain that column width that you have mentioned. Let me show you with an example. Again, let us go back to our code, right? What we have seen is this. Understood? Now I am going to add one more row. I am going to collapse this row so I don't get confused. I have 2 rows, everybody. Remember 1 and 2. And remember this, whatever screen I pick, it is still maintaining 5 to 7. The ratio is still maintained. Now let's see what happens. Okay? Look at what I am doing. Then I'll give you some time and I'll give you the text in Notepad also. So you don't have to worry. Try to understand the concept. Now here, I'm going to say div, right? In the row, first div, class equals to call-sm, meaning small screen, -4, okay? And here I'll say h1, just so I know, call-sm-4. Done? I'm going to copy that over, create one more. 4 minus or 12 minus 4 is 8. I'm going to say 8. And let me give a background color to this one, right? So I'll say bg-info and bg-secondary. Don't worry, don't forget about the spelling. If you do the spelling mistake, if you do a spelling mistake, it will not pick it, please. Okay, everybody remember, the only difference between the last row and this row is I have SM instead of call-. I have added a breakpoint. SMMD, these are called breakpoints. What happened just now? Let me first show in bigger screen. Any difference? No. I told it to take 4 columns, it took 4 columns, 8 columns, took 8 columns. But when I move into, I ask it to show how it displays in Samsung Galaxy. Look at how it stacked up. Why did it stack up? Because I said SM, right? So let me rotate it. SM is nothing but landscape, right? So let me rotate. So in landscape mode and on and bigger screens, it will maintain that column width. Anything that is less than SM, which is portrait mode, it is going to stack them up. I did not change any code. Meaning, I did not say in mobile screens display like this, in that screen display like that. I didn't say anything. I just said SM-4, SM-8. That's all. And it automatically picked up and got that. Done? Now let's move on to one more. Now I'd like to comment this first row out, just so we have some space there. Everybody again, just SM is what I added, that's all. Now I'm going to copy this, or let me create one more row. Div, class equals to row, same old, same old. Now here, div, class equal to call-MD-8, okay? Close that there. I'll give this a BG danger. And here in H1 tag, I'll mention whatever I give. This is only for our understanding, please. Done? Copy that over. Add a sibling. 4 minus 8 is 12. So I'll just say 4, 4. And here I'll say warning. Remember everybody, we are learning breakpoints in Bootstrap. Very important concept. Should I have used something else? I think it's okay. So 8, medium screen 8 I said, and 4. So in small, extra small, which is XS, which is mobile screen vertical, mobile screen portrait mode, large screen, laptops, it is still using 8 and 4, right? No, 8 and 4. Let's see how it looks like in mobile screens. I'm sorry, I do not show you mobile screen. Not 150, 100%. You see that everybody? In Galaxy 8, it's stacked up. Why? Because I said MD. Medium is what? Tab. Now let me rotate it. Still it's stacked up. Now let me go and say iPad Air 100% automatically. So from MD, which means tab, it is picking up the number of columns. You want to use 8 and 4, you can start it. Because you put MD, I'm going to use it for this one. Now if I remove toggle device, same thing. Now what are the things that are smaller than tab? Phone in portrait, phone in landscape. Let us check again. Regular phone in portrait, it's stacked up. Regular phone in landscape, it's still stacked up. But then the moment I go to medium screen, which is iPad mini or Air, it is using 8 and 4. The moment I remove this, it is still 8 and 4. Everybody, Bootstrap grid is all about breakpoints, okay? So you need to know what these breakpoints are. If you do not mention anything, just a hyphen means extra small screen, which is portrait of your phone. You mention SM, it is the landscape of your phone. You mention MD, it is the tab. You mention LG, it is your laptop. You see what I'm saying? Large, small. So you can decide on how your website should look like in different devices. If you mention just call hyphen, in all devices from mobile phone, from the smallest of mobile phone to the, to the boardroom meeting, boardroom hall screen, from smallest to biggest, it is going to maintain the same ratio, 4 and 8, same thing. You mention call hyphen SM, then it will change it. The moment you turn your phone, then it will maintain the columns. But in regular phone, it will stack up. Ideally, we always use SM. In regular phone, you always want things to be stacked up, please. You don't want to maintain the column ratio. So we usually go for SM, SM4, SM5, SM6. Clear? Everybody understood? Now I'm going to share this code and I'll give you 5 minutes to work on it, and then we'll move on with our exercise, okay? Share this code, meaning I'll show it in Notepad, give you 5 minutes, and I'd like you all to work on it. How many of you want me to repeat this one more time? Repeat the concept one more time. Only 1, 2, 3. Okay, a few of you. Shall I repeat it anyway? Real quick. The others can start writing. If you already know it, you can start working on it. So everybody, there are certain things called breakpoints in Bootstrap. And those are those SM, MD, LG. Remember, Bootstrap is a front-end library. Its whole business is to make your front-end look pretty and easy and make it responsive and make it look different in different screens, right? Based on what you want, it should display the way. So if you do not mention inside the row, if you do not mention any breakpoint, by default it understands, because remember it is mobile first. So it understands that whatever column number you are giving here is for mobile screen and above. Now if you say column hyphen SM hyphen 4 or whatever number you give here, it is from here on, it will maintain that. Anything less than that, if you open the same web page in a smaller screen, it will stack them up. The columns will be automatically stacked up. Same thing with MD. In tab and above, it will maintain the columns whatever you have given. Anything below, it will stack them up, right? Call hyphen LG, same thing. Larger screens, laptops. This is for the desktops. The bigger things are for town hall. You see that extra large there, extra large is greater than 1400 pixel. I'll share the PPT, so you have nothing to worry. So this is the example there. These are the different grid system classes. Okay, so that was that about Bootstrap, but there is one last thing and we can move on. How many of you remember what I mentioned about the insurance company? I said if I am the website for an insurance company, mainly a travel insurance company, if I am on road, I need help, so I want the help one in the top in mobile screen. But if I open in bigger screens, I want pay premium at the top. That is what my director told me the website should have. So why don't I quickly show you that, and then we'll move on, and then there'll be only the exercise and everything. Okay, boot 1, I'm going to rename this to say grid. Okay, and I'm going to copy this over and here rename it to say grid and order. Okay, what do I mean by grid and order? What is this order that I'm talking about? Look at the screen please. So I have my container, I have one row, another row, right, so many rows. I'm going to delete all these, right? Do I have an SM? No, this is the extra small where I don't even mention it. That's why it's called mobile first. If you don't mention, it understands it's for, okay, so this one here, right guys? So let me break it up into 3 columns, okay? 4, 5 and 3, right? 4, 5 and 3, right? So 5 plus 3, 8 plus 4, 12, done. Secondary, this I'm going to make it as danger. And let's see how it displays. Again, we are trying to see, so SM4, SM5, SM3 done. Everybody kindly look at the screen. We are learning how to order things, right? What do I mean by that? Column SM3, I'll say need help, okay? And the first column, I'll say pay premium. So pay premium, need help. This is how it is in mobile, in my regular laptop. But I want need help to come to the first in mobile. Is it coming to the first? In my iPhone SE? No, pay premium is still on the top, but I want need help to be on the top in mobile screen because people might need help. That might be the reason why they're accessing it in a phone. So what do? I go here. Can I have your complete attention for just 10 more seconds? Look at the screen please everybody. I'm going to go here and say order -SM or order -first, okay? Even though I have info, you see that pay premium and everything, need help came to the top because I just said order -first, right? Now let me go, but it is displaying first here also. I don't want it like that. So here I'll just say order -SM, in medium screens, you still are last. Let's see if that works. Everybody, this is only the tip of iceberg of Bootstrap Grid. There are so many things that you can do. You can offset, you can remove the columns on the left side, you can just focus on the center, depending on your web page design. So if I go here, need help came first in mobile screen, but when I went there, need help is last and pay premium is still the first. So how do you achieve that? You just do a space separated class name as order first, and in medium and other screens I still want it to be last. This is the beauty of Bootstrap. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to share this code. First I'll share the grid code and I'll give you 5 minutes to try and get it working. I mean, if you want it, make sure you have container or container fluid, please. We can share the files in Tufan directly. So instead of WhatsApp, I'll share it in Tufan and you pick it from there, right? All the files that we have worked so far. Now we are planning on starting JS today, but I think we'll do it on Monday. And I'll go ahead and start Tufan. Meanwhile, you guys get this ready.
Yes. Good morning, everyone. So most probably after holidays, you're coming attending this embedded learning first time, correct? I hope so. Okay. So you learn a little bit of great system. There's a lot to learn. But how many of you started your project in your place? Started. Raising accusation so that I can see from here. Only few. What about others? Others have not started yet. Okay, how many of you are working on front end, by the way? Front end. Designing the HTML pages. Okay. Okay. This is a little bit disappointing because it is almost midway and still we are not clear about the front end things. So, if you are starting now, so I just want to help you out. There's a concept of wireframes. Did you heard about wireframes? Whatever SIREESHA was just showing you the mobile screen, the things, these are the theoretical knowledge, but where do you apply that? So first, your idea should be projected through wireframe. That is what our requirement also is. As an example, we are going to show you one wireframe. Just now I was sitting there, I was just creating that for you people so that you'll understand what should your front end should look like and what are the components that it should have, and to achieve that components, what are the, if you're using Bootstrap, so what are the Bootstrap classes that you should use, utility classes that you should use. So I would like you to be ready with those things. If you are ready there, this concept will be very easy to understand. Why grid system is important, and where navigation bar should lie, where sidebar, what is the use of it, and how do you propagate from one page to another page. So there are certain tools. Generally, I use draw.io, but you can use PowerPoint, you can use Microsoft Word drawing system, you can do that. Or you can use your pen and paper also, draw it, take a snapshot. That is also fine. But the clarity for your team, what is the front end is looking like, team should be aware of it. Okay? So here I'm just showing you a simple demonstration of what wireframe is. Can you zoom a little? Zoom. Zoom. Up. So first one, you see that this should be your idea. Now that is how it is represented to your teammates. The menu bar should have a logo at the left side or right side. Then a list of navigation bars. So I want a navigation bar in such a way that it should be above search. So that is how I'm designing it. Then afterwards you will have sub main navigation bar. There's another navigation bar. How is that? Can we call that as a navigation bar or above one? You should decide which is what. How do I achieve that? Then there is a three. You see, the grid system is in action here. There is a side menu, there is a center panel, and the left panel. So right panel. Okay? Side menu can be having some sections, whatever sections that you want. Then there is an image in the between, or a login system, or a registration page that you want to achieve it. And then right side you will have some advertisements or some other components, React components if you are using to show the price or stock information and all, the health system and all. So I would like you to just use any, even pen and paper is also there with you, draw it, share those things. And please keep it ready whenever there is a review, evaluation. This brings the idea to your teammates what you are thinking of. And along with that, you can just highlight, okay, this is a navigated part, so I should use NAVA bar, NAVBAR. Now this is large, hyphen large, so this is that. So once you design it, you keep it, you understand what should change, what should go, what should not. Okay? So this is a simple example that I'm just telling you, or a hint, that this is how project development starts, with an idea, putting that idea onto the paper. Okay? That's it. This is what I want to just emphasize. Why, if you're learning, learn through a system, through a pattern. Okay.
There are few websites, like Sir mentioned, there are many websites that help you create a wireframe. From that wireframe, you can directly get HTML pages also in some cases. Wireframe.io is one of those things where you can go and create wireframe for your website, right? They usually have free stuff, 1 or 2 wireframes that you can create for free. Now, before we start the exercise, we will be sharing the files with you, so you have nothing to worry, but hold on 1 minute, please. There's something that I'd like to show. One last thing. I think I should have grid, but okay. This grid, I'm going to create a copy of it. And I'll share this code, so you don't worry and don't try to replicate the code. I'll call it as gallery.html. Going here, remove everything, removing everything. One more. Collapse, remove, and then done. Now let's see. Call hyphen, let's say I want 4 columns, then I'll have to have each column width as 3, right? So I'm going to create real quick, let's time it, I think I'll not take more than 2 minutes. 3, I'm going to, now here, instead of having a heading, because I named it as a gallery, I would like to have some images. So I go to the images folder, pick the image 1, right? And close that. Now I have 1 div ready. I'll go ahead, create 4 of these. 4 3s are 12, we are done. Now I know there's a 2.jpg, because I have the images, I know they are there, right? Now I'm going to stop the server, say go live, we'll see if it works. What just happened? The images are there, they got added, but they are added the way they are, really big. We don't want this. So Bootstrap has many classes, I told you, right? So there is one class that comes in very handy, and that is, please focus. More often than not, you'll be working on images. So you need to know how to work. Now let me add this particular class called class image-thumbnail. I'm going to add that to all of them, right? What just happened? I added only to 3. I did not add. Let me move it down and make it 4, right? A simple class named image-thumbnail modified the way it looked like. Extremely simple. This is the power of Bootstrap classes. I'd like you all to use Bootstrap classes, explore. You must be thinking, but ma'am, how did you know img-thumbnail has to be used? Practice. You do your research, then you will know. So now you know how to create a home page, navbar, footers. You know how to create forms, contact us form. You also know how to create a gallery, right? So let me just copy this whole thing over. This whole row, I'm going to copy over, add, there. I have images, I just have to change the name to 7, 8, 9 and all. Automatically, it gets a nice little border because of the image thumbnail, right? Remember, margin top, I can do empty-3, so the top margin will be 2 pixels, it will give 2 units of, spacing at the top. I can do padding, I can do a whole lot of things. but this one class helps me manage my images. I'll share this code as well, so you have nothing to worry. Just remember, this is your gallery. You need to have a container, a row, inside that things. Now the interesting part, please. How will it show in a phone? See that? One below the other. I did nothing. I did not say display it like this in phone. No. I just said call -sm-3. So screens that are bigger than phone. Now you look at that. I just turned to landscape mode. So it is SM now, right? Call -sm. So in SM it will follow the whole columns. So this is very important. Understand when to use, how it will look like, right? Now this is it. I'll show you the code. I'll leave this code here for you to work on, and we'll start the exercise for you. We'll also share the files.